Hello and good evening, Leafs Nation. It's a little bit late. I wanted to go to bed. I was planning on going to bed, but for some reason, NHL GMs refused to go to bed. So we have a trade to discuss. And the Leafs have acquired David Rittich from the Calgary Flames. And one of the big questions going into the trade deadline was um, were the Leafs going to shore up their goaltending? What's the status of Freddie Anderson? And a lot of that is still technically up in the air. But what the Leafs have done is given them, they've provided themselves a little bit more insurance. Uh, Campbell's playing good right now, but his leg injury can technically flare up at any point. And even though they say Freddie Anderson's going to be healthy and ready to go game one of the playoffs, his groin injury can flare up at any point. So what the Leafs have done is stayed within Canada, traded for a goaltender who can technically start playing tomorrow for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they still have Michael Hutchinson, and Veini Vevalainen. So the Leafs have considerably upgraded their goaltending depth going into the playoffs with Campbell, Freddie, and Riddick. Um, Makes me feel good in general that there's sufficient depth there in case of injuries. Um, but realistically, I mean, if you're going to go into the playoffs and you're looking for a long run, you want to play one goalie, and you want to play one goalie a lot, and you want him to get hot, and you want him to win a lot of games. So technically, if that person is to be Campbell, and he stays hot going into the playoffs, if he starts the playoffs and starts winning, and then he wins a round, I mean, you're not going to take him out of the net. So it doesn't really matter who the backup is at this point. It could be it could be Freddie starting the playoffs, and then if he wins a couple of games and wins a round, you're definitely not going to take him out of the net at that point. So it doesn't really matter who the backup is. Once the playoffs start and the cap goes away and the cap doesn't matter and the rosters expand, the Leafs have options. But they've given themselves a chance to win the division and play the remainder of the season stress free. So it looks like at this point, I'm one of Michael Hutchinson or Veini Vevalainen will be sent down to the Marlies, and the other one uh, between Hutch and Vevalainen will stay on the taxi squad as Campbell and Rittich will most likely be the tandem that finishes the season. And I said a couple of videos ago, the Leafs are gonna put Anderson on LTIR, and they're gonna use his cap space to go out there and get some pieces. Now the Leafs still, after the moves with Nick Foligno and David Rittich, still have just over $2 million in cap space, 2.1 million to be honest, to be exact. And from what I understand, they need roughly $2.3 million to activate Freddie Anderson off of LTIR if they need to, which means they're gonna have to send guys like Martin Marinson and Barabanov and Hutchinson down to the minors, which those guys are technically on the cap right now because to maximize the usage of LTIR, the LTIR pool, the Leafs had to get as close to the cap as possible before they put Freddie Anderson on LTIR. So they called up those guys in paper transactions, and they were within, I think, 12,000 of the cap. They had $12,000 in cap space before they put Anderson on LTIR, and then they acquired Riley Nash, and now both Freddie and Riley Nash are on LTIR. So the Leafs had just over 7 million in LTIR pool money to use, and after the Nick Foligno trade and the David Rittich trade, they have roughly $2.1 million left in that pool. So the Leafs technically can make more trades. I mean, it was announced that the Buffalo Sabres traded Taylor Hall to the Bruins for a second round pick, and they also added Curtis Lazar, which was and they got Bjork in return. So Lazar and Bjork kind of wash each other, and basically Taylor Hall at 50% retained just got a second round, which goes to show you. I mean, I've said it in my tweets before. No one's going to offer a first round pick for the most overrated, overpaid player in the NHL. This guy has done nothing but torch organizations and leave them a heaping pile of loser. And I'm glad that they went to the Boston Bruins. It makes the Boston Bruins worse. They've given up a second round pick, and it's good for me. As a Leaf fan, I'm excited the Boston Bruins are making the wrong decisions. They just got lit up by the Washington Capitals 7-1 or 8-1 or whatever the score was. And the Boston Bruins are definitely not the same team that beat the Leafs a couple of years ago. There's a chance they could miss the playoffs this year. And so I'm glad the Bruins are sucking while the Leafs are getting better and better. So there it is. The Leafs have traded for David Rittich. They've added to their goaltending depth. If there's to be a long playoff run and you're playing through multiple rounds and you're grinding it out, groin injuries and thigh injuries can flare up at any point, and David Rittich is just an insurance option. I don't know what this means long term. I honestly don't think David Rittich is going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf next year. He would have to sign a pretty team-friendly deal with the Leafs for the Leafs to leave Freddie Anderson just blowing in the wind in free agency and just go with Campbell and Rittich next year. I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I think the Leafs are better off with Campbell and Freddie Anderson as the duo. Those are two very good goaltenders. Splitting the duties, and David Rittich, I think, the Leafs are getting him at 1.3 million, so he's a rental for a third round pick. But you need that depth, so that's my opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think. Was there a better goaltender available? Should they have gone in? I personally would have liked Linus Ullmark out of Buffalo, but you guys let me know. There's some other goalies out there available. Jonathan Quick, Antti Ranta. There's lots of goalies out there. The Colorado Avalanche went out and got Dubnyk. That's another name I liked. You guys let me know. Are there better options than David Rittich? Are you guys interested and excited about Big Save Dave? I'm okay with it. A third round pick is not a lot to pay. But it's been an interesting night. Time to get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. I'm going to be right back on here, and we're going to discuss all the moves and trades, and then we'll do one final review to wrap up all the different trades and possibilities and line combinations. We're going to go through it. I need you guys here with me. Let's talk about it. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.